Hi guys, my name is Drew Johnson. I lived 2 years in France and know how to make crepes. Have some experience with it, cooking for several people or just myself. If you want to come on over, I will show you everything that you're going to need. Of course, I went ahead and started with 1 egg that's going to serve 2 people today. Depending on how you make them, ingredients that you're going to put in, that can serve 1 to 2 people. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is make a dough. I know it sounds kind of funny, but we're going to make a dough first. And we start out with the egg. For every egg that you have, you put in about half a tablespoon of oil, right about there. And vanilla is something that I put in. It is optional. You don't have to put it in, but I do put in about a teaspoon. And now we're going to start mixing some of our dry ingredients. Brown sugar is much preferred over regular white cane sugar. Just gives it a much better flavor. You can use white sugar or a mixture of the two. I just use brown sugar though. So we're going to want to put some brown sugar in there. You put that in there to your preference. For every egg, I'd probably say a max of a 1/4 cup would be all that you need. Now you're going to want to mix these ingredients together. Okay, looks like I need a little more sugar in there. I'm going for a grainy type texture. It's kind of how I like to do them. Just try to get all the clumps of that brown sugar out of there. So what we're doing here is I don't have a set amount that I put in. We just put in an amount until we get a dough. So I start with a smaller amount. You can always add more. So start smaller if you're worried about it. If you put in too much, you'll ruin it and have to start all over. So just keep adding it in slowly is the best way to do it. This is about what you want it to look like. What we're going to do now is start adding some milk. So let me go ahead and grab that. You want to mix your milk in very slowly. If you put in too much to start with, it will become very difficult and you'll get some clumps at the end. That first mixing of dough, mixing in that milk is what you want to get perfect. What we're looking for here is we want to get a consistency of a really thick chocolate milk. That's what our end result consistency is going to be. It does not matter what percentage of milk you use. So you can use fat-free milk, 1%, 2%, whole milk, whatever you want. So about right here, the consistency that you want, like I said, a really thick chocolate milk. And that's about what that looks like to me. You kind of decide. For the pan that I'm using, I use a really big pan. I'm going to use a 1/2 cup to actually put it onto my pan, but like I said, I've got a really big pan. So for you guys, you might be using like a quarter cup to put them on here. I'll show you guys how to do that. Basically, I got my pan heated up here now. I put it on about 50%. Mine goes to a 10 for high is the number 10. So I put it on a 5, and that's on a gas stove. I waited for it to heat up to where basically it's hot enough to where I don't want to touch it now. So just wait till it gets about that hot. This is a butter spray. I know I took a picture of an oil spray. I went out and bought a butter spray though. It makes a flavor difference in my opinion. So get that on there. And now again, I'm using a half cup, and I can't remember on my smaller pan if I was using a quarter or a third cup size. Now watch the rotation on this. You're going to start from the center as best you can, and you're going to rotate the pan around. You rotate that pan around to get that all the way covered. Okay, and try to keep it thin. You can actually see I've got a little extra here, even on a half cup on this big of a pan. So if you guys are using more than that on a smaller pan than I have, you probably ought to work on your method for pouring, and perhaps maybe loosen up your dough a little bit, maybe put in a little more milk. Now we're going to set this on here and basically just let it bubble. Once it's to the bubbling point, that's about when I'm going to want to flip it. This is actually bubbled up here. You can kind of see me bouncing it a little bit, so you can see it's bubbled up, and it's actually gotten a lighter color now, so it's ready to be flipped. There's two different methods for flipping. You can either use the pan and flip it, which I will do later, or you can use another method. If you get your fingernail on the pan, it's really not going to burn you, but just pull it back a little bit, and it's warm. You can see that's nice and golden brown now, but you can just flip it with your hands, just like that. Okay, and you can see how smooth it's staying on my pan here. That's optimal for flipping. Alright, and on this crepe, I just now poured it and put it on. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to get some crunchy cheese on the outside.